Perfect. I hope you can see my screen. It says
Yes, yes,
placement ready
Vasu.
to start. Perfect. I'll give a quick introduction. So I graduated from Thapar University, Patiala in 2020 as electronics engineer. So in Thapar University, Patiala, there is a course which is electronics and computer engineering. So I was part of that. And after my college, I got an internship at Amazon, got promoted to SD1 to SD2. And a few months back, I left my job and started my own business. So that's a quick snapshot of who I am. So let's dive deep into what coding does has to offer, and then we take good questions. Okay. So okay. So in this particular session, right, I'll be mostly talking about what an Amazonian thinks when they look at hiring other people. Because at Amazon, it was one of our responsibilities wherein we take interviews of students and even engineers who are like recent freshers to onboard as SD1s, right? So I'll be discussing about what we at Amazon, look at, and that pretty much is same across all product-based companies because good thing about tech is it's pretty much standardized, more or less, which is changing now, by the way. We'll discuss that as well later on. So essentially, on a very high level, there are two types of companies. One is service-based, one is product-based. So assume it this way, right? There are people who, let's say, if I as a software engineer decide, I want to be a freelancer, and I choose full stack development, for example, right? What I'll be doing as I'll be picking up projects and doing them, right? If I assemble a team of people who are engineers, right, and we are doing different projects at the same time, and I start give a name to the company, it becomes a service-based company because I'm giving service, which is software engineering, right? And then product-based company would be, say, for example, what I'm working on right now, right? So I'm building an app which will tell you what to wear and from where to shop. It's a different kind of a marketplace that we are building. So that is our product now. So people, engineers will be working with me, would be working on a product, which is a specific product. So that's how it differentiates. Because in a service-based system, let's say there's a cycle of 3 months. Every 3 months, you'll be working in a different company or a different project on a different tech stack, probably. But in a product-based company, it's like you start with one thing and then it keeps on growing and you get new projects in that product domain itself. So the kind of work differs a lot, as I said, right? You're working on different tech stacks, you're working in on different at different scales at times with different teams all the time, and then that gives you a very good exposure. Like one of my cousins at Infosys, he got a chance to work in 8 different companies in 8 different countries. So that's how his work was. Every 11 months he was in a different country working for a different company on a different project. And then in a product based company like Amazon, because Amazon is so huge, they have multiple products. I mean, Amazon is not just one single company, right? So it has Prime Video, Alexa, e-commerce, everything. All three are different on a very high level. So that's how it differs, right? So good thing about service-based company is that you really get to get hands-on on different tech stacks. But the problem with service-based companies is because as a company, if I let's say if I start my own service-based company, my margins will be very low, right? And on the only reason being because I'm just getting paid by the hour, and that particular payment is coming from the client, right? But for the product-based company, my product, which is being built by 10 people, might be used by a million customers, and that's how my profits will scale as well. So that actually is a big differentiator right now. And there are really good service-based companies also, but again, those are like very limited. And yes, so then coming on to why product-based company is better. Uh, See, it depends. I mean, I personally, because I've worked for over 4 years and I've seen a number of people working in this industry, I wouldn't just say it's better. I say it's different. The reason, it's up to you as to what is the tailor that you really want, right? Because once you graduate from your current university, right, you'll be joining a job. And that is not the end of a career. That's the start of a career. You have career of 25 years ahead minimum, right? People retire at 60, so that's 40 years of career. So for those 40 years, you cannot just say that, मैंने आज कल let's say मैं Amazon में गया और वही मेरी जिंदगी बन गई. नहीं, 4 साल के बाद छूट चुका हूँ Amazon, right? मुझे ये भी नहीं पता अगले 10 साल में कहाँ होने वाला हूँ. So that's how it is. So even if you see, if you start with a service-based company, that will actually help you get hands-on good number of tech stacks. And the benefit out of that is that you'll actually keep on learning, what different companies are doing. So let's say you join company, you start working with on a project with the company A, you'll realize कि यार ये कुछ गड़बड़ कर रहे हैं, right? If you go to company B and start working there, you can share your experience from that part. In Amazon, in the first 2 years when I was in one team, I'd been doing almost similar work almost every day. because the tech stack is same. वो software तो वही रहेगा ना उनका. They cannot change that night, एक रात को, right? So that's one of the challenges when you're working with product-based companies. So it's up to you. There's a trade-off that हर जगह कुछ pros and cons होंगे. It's up to you what cons you can really afford and compromise on. So that's how I'd say they are different, but better. I wouldn't quote better as a right term for this. Now, okay, coming on to what is the interview process like? So as it says, right, we first have a pre-placement talk wherein the company will come to your campus and then they'll talk about what the company does, what is the tech stack like, and then they'll just talk about the packages and stuff like that. Right? आधे घंटे का भाषण होगा just to convince who you should join. Second, registration, simple as that. Then there will be a coding test. Normally, in most of the companies, the test comprises of 3 to 4 questions of DSA, and it's like timed around 1.5 hours. And at times there are aptitude tests also, but which I personally feel is not needed because basic aptitude sabka hota hi hai, and if they are able to solve those 4 questions in 1.5 hours without cheating, quoting without cheating, that implies they have that minimum level of aptitude. So good enough. And then there are interviews, obviously. Again, similar kind of interviews. If we're talking about freshers, it's like plain old DSA. Let's say if I'm interviewing you, I'll be giving a question, looking at how you're responding, and done. Right. Then there is a behavioral interview. Behavioral interview would be like, see, at the end, the reason I'm interviewing you is because you're going to join my team as well, right? So if I'm going to work with you, वो vibe match करनी चाहिए. And उसके लिए this behavioral interview is there wherein I just get to know you as a person, right? So, and then system design interview is something which is not at SD1 level or even internal level. System design is nothing but think about what DSA is. For the folks who know DSA already, at the end we are just solving problems, right? But iska actual use kya hai? So let's say if I'm actually these particular DS algo, all these things, you might not use them every day. You might not use graphs. You might not use DP at times. But at the end, you have to build real world applications, right? So that's what system design correlates to. If I'm asked, yaar, aapko Zomato banana hai, how will I make Zomato? That will include system design. If I further drill it down, at the end, would DSA chal raha hai uske. So that's about system design. Then HR is like, package aapse negotiate karenge, and then you get the offer letter. And as you join, there is an onboarding that happens in the company. That every company has a different process. Like at my current company that I'm running, it's by the name of Manova. So at Manova, we have a different process as we used to have at Amazon. I've taken the learnings from Amazon, but I've added my own good stuff as well. And then there is some sort of a training that happens in the beginning. At product-based companies or very big companies, the training period is of around 3 months. At my company, it's of 2 days. So that's how it is. Moving on, coming to which coding language to choose. There is no right answer for this as well. Java, C++, Python. There's one more language which is Golang. So there are like n number of languages. You can even pick JavaScript for that matter, right? So, but I personally feel Java is one of the best languages to start with because Java is one of those languages which is still evolving with time, right? So if you'll see Java का number होता है Java 6, Java 7, Java 8, अभी Java 13, 14 कुछ चल रहा होगा, probably उससे भी beyond. So that's how it is. So it's up to you which language you feel comfortable with. I mean, it's my suggestion, start with Java, but you all should also know Python because that is a new age language. C++ is something which is not majorly used. It's used in legacy systems. Mostly I've seen at Microsoft. So that is one of my opinions, but it's up to you. You can pick any language and you can, it's up to you if you want to start with which one. Okay. Moving on, DSA and interviews. Okay. So what DSA broadly is, right? It's data structures and algorithms. So what is an algorithm? Let's look at that first, right? Algorithm is nothing but essentially a logic that you build to achieve something, right? Now, what is data structures? These are different tools that are there. It could be an array, it could be a linked list, tags, queues, trees, guys, try, strings. All of these are different data structures. Assume ये सारे के सारे tools हैं. Assume you have a toolkit and you're a mechanic. You're tasked to fix a car, right? If you don't know which tool should be used when and how and where, right? You wouldn't be able to fix the car. Now there will be n number of ways of fixing a car, right? So what is the fastest way of fixing a car is something that, or let's say the most optimal way of fixing a car is what people will say that you're a good mechanic. And there are, as I said, right, there are a number of ways of fixing a car. There could be a way that you can just think of right away. Is that the optimal way? Maybe not, right? So then the question comes in: how can we really get to that optimal solution? That is the whole game of DSA interviews. Nothing more than that. Okay. So the process is very simple. Let's say you and me sit for an interview. I'll be giving you a question. I'll be seeing how you're interpreting the question. I'll be seeing how you are solutionizing the question. I'll be seeing how you're coding the question, right? Because the term that is used is brute force. So brute force implies कि जो दिमाग में आया वो लगा दिया एकदम basic से शुरू करने के लिए. And then I really want to see, how do you optimize it for both time and space? Because at the end, we want the solution to be fastest, right? At the end, we want the solution to take minimum space because that adds to your infrastructure cost later on, right? So coming into DSA, use an internship and full-time job interviews. See, coming on to interviews specifically for internship and full-time, the only major difference is that when it comes to internship, the number of rounds of interviews are less as compared to a full-time job. Okay. Because if the same person is eligible for an internship as well for a full-time job as well, the skill set is same. Right? If I go and say today that मुझे internship दे दो और उसी बंदे को बोल रहा हूँ job भी चाहिए, तो they won't say right कि आपको job में ये भी आना चाहिए. They'll rather say कि यार we'll take less interviews because we're hiring you for, let's say, for a short fixed time span and also for a lesser salary stipend, right? In case of internship. So there is no very specific or template system as such out there, but the primary thing will always be DSA for you, right? There are certain, like at Amazon, I never cared about DBMS, OS, OOPS, nothing at all. All I cared about was DSA. And the second thing I cared about was if somebody comes and says, यार मेरे को Android development आती है, तो Android में भी test out कि तुमने क्या बनाया है ऐसा. If you say that you know something, I'll be actually checking if you really mean it, right? If you say to Python aati hai, is it like that you are proficient in Java, but you have just written hello world in Python? Do you know the libraries as well? So the definition of ye cheez mujhe aati hai, that is what I actually look for personally, and that's what other people also look at. So, okay, so that's the idea. But the breakdown that they have given here is actually good because it says that you need to focus on all these things to some extent, right? Only DSA is not going to cut it. Now, coming on to plan to practice DSA type of questions asked in a company. Okay. Type of questions is very subjective. There is no fixed format. You cannot just say कि यार LinkedIn के hard question, sorry, lead code के hard question पूछते हैं या mix पूछते हैं. There is no format around it, right? General understanding is because, now this is an insider tip, okay? I as an engineer at Amazon will be asked by my HR कि यार तुम्हें इंटरव्यू लेना है, ठीक है? अब मैं ऑलरेडी जॉब कर रहा हूँ, मेरे पास ऑलरेडी मेरा 2 हफ्ते का मेरा काम प्लान है कि मुझे ये करना है. On top of that, you're asking me to allocate 1 to 2 hours of to take an interview, right? I'll actually try to pick those questions which I personally feel are like medium level questions because they're not too hard क्योंकि फिर मुझे भी तो आना चाहिए, right? So I'll have to practice myself as well. So to avoid that thing, mostly people ask lead code medium questions. So you need to be very proficient with that. Now, how to solve a problem? This is a very good question. And I have developed a framework personally, which I have personally used, and that has helped me a lot. So if you guys want, I can wait for 5 seconds. Take your notebooks, take a pencil or a pen, and note this down. Okay. It will be all verbal. I won't be sharing my screen for that particular thing. So just note it down. Okay. First of all, let's say you have 30 minutes for a given question. Okay. A question का जो 30 minutes है आपके पास, that can be divided into 3 parts. Okay, part 1, part 2, part 3. Part 1 is as soon as you get to the question, the first step is to interpret the question right. Okay. Second is as you interpret the question, the second step, which is the major step, is to actually ideate and solutionize the right approach, or let's say the final approach, because there are multiple approaches. You'll start with one approach. You just have to think of different approaches. Say, for example, I pick a question which is how to find square root of a number, right? Now that particular question has 2-3 approaches to solve. I pick the brute force approach. उसके बाद वहीं पे I look at the time complexity. If I know I can optimize this, I'll optimize the solution. If I know I can further optimize it, again optimize it. But अभी तक मैंने code नहीं लिखा. सिर्फ सोचा है सोल्यूशन के बारे में एंड एक कन्विक्शन लेके आया हूँ ट्राई रन करने के बाद कि हो गया. Once I've solutionized what is the final solution that I'm going to implement, third step is to code it. Okay, so 3 steps. Step 1, read the question, interpret the question. Step 2, ideate and solutionize the final approach, which is the most optimal approach in terms of time and space. Third step is to code it, right? Now, my responsibility as an engineer who's applying for internship, who wants to crack this, should be जो मेरा step 1 है, that is to understand the question. उसका time should be minimum. जितना जल्दी मैं क्वेश्चन समझ के आगे बढ़ूंगा उतनी जल्दी मेरे पास उतना टाइम बचेगा मेरे पास बाकी स्टेप्स के लिए, राइट? जो स्टेप 3 था जो कि कोड करने का, जितना प्रोफेशन में कोडिंग में होगा उतना मुझे टाइम मिलेगा टू वर्क ऑन द स्टेप 2 व्हिच इज टू सॉल्यूशनाइज एंड आइडिएट ऑन द मोस्ट ऑप्टिमल अप्रोच. ओके, so just to summarize, step 1 is to understand the question, step 2 is to solutionize, step 3 is to code, right? We have to practice how to understand the question the fastest. ये नहीं कि 4 बार पढ़े जा रहे हैं समझ ही नहीं आ रहा है. ये नहीं कि जब शुरू कर लिया फिर वापस क्वेश्चन पढ़ रहे. नहीं, याद करो जेई के टाइम पे भी ऐसी तैयारी करते थे मेंस के लिए. We used to have 1.5 minutes for every question, right? We used to break down 10 seconds to read the question, 30 seconds to solve the questions, last के 10 seconds to see क्या करना है क्या नहीं करना, right? Something like that. अब बात करते हैं how do we practice for each of the 3 things. What I personally follow is that's lead code. Lead code has 3 levels: easy, medium, and hard, right? You practice a few hard questions. उसके अंदर कोड करने की जरूरत नहीं है, सिर्फ क्वेश्चन पढ़ के कितना जल्दी समझ में आ रहा है और सोल्यूशनाइज कर पा रहे हैं ब्रूट फोर्स, मोर देन इनफ. क्योंकि हार्ड क्वेश्चन इज हार्ड फॉर अ रीजन, लेकिन उसमें सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज ये होती है कि आप क्वेश्चन समझ कितना जल्दी पा रहे हो. सो वी प्रैक्टिस स्टेप 1, दैट इज अंडरस्टैंडिंग द क्वेश्चंस थ्रू लीड कोड हार्ड क्वेश्चंस. स्टेप 2 दैट वी डिस्कस्ड वाज टू आइडिएट एंड सोल्यूशनाइज, राइट? अब आइडिएशन और सोल्यूशनाइज करने के लिए विल पिक द मीडियम क्वेश्चंस. ओके, मीडियम क्वेश्चंस क्यों? क्योंकि दे आर नॉट टू इजी एंड नॉट टू हार्ड, एज सिंपल एज दैट, राइट? तो कोड करना भी बहुत मुश्किल नहीं होगा लेकिन इजी भी नहीं होगा. सो यू विल हैव लेंथियर कोड्स बट you'll have multiple possible approaches as well. Then for the third part, to practice coding एकदम proficient हो जाओ कि सोचना ना पड़े यार कि डॉट स्ट्रिंग होता है या डॉट लेंथ होता है या स्ट्रिंग डॉट लेंथ होता है, क्या होता है. For that, do easy questions. So if you break it down in this manner, step 1, understanding the questions, pick hard. Step 2, solutionizing, pick medium questions. Step 3, coding practice, pick easy questions. And once you get comfortable with easy questions, go to medium for the step 2. Once you feel you're able to code or ideate, solutionize the step 2 part very effectively, then go to hard questions. If for the first part, just do all that has to be done for all the 3 types, because every question you pick, you have to understand. So this is one of the finest ways wherein you can actually improve yourself at unit level, right? Okay. So moving on, projects for interviews. Okay. So this is very subjective and depends a lot on the company. Okay, I'll share examples on Amazon again. So I was interviewing this person and she started talking about that she has built a software for hydroponics and blah blah blah, right? मुझे कुछ समझ में नहीं आया. That is me. I haven't worked on, right? Because I'm backend engineer, and if somebody comes and says that I worked in blockchain, it won't make any sense to me, right? So उसका project मेरे लिए तो waste ही हो गया. That is one of the reasons that we focus on something as generic as DS, and that is the reason that DSA is kept as a standard in the industry, right? लेकिन प्रोजेक्ट का सबसे बड़ा बेनिफिट होता है स्टार्टअप्स में, क्योंकि अभी if I have to hire for my company, I'll be looking for people who are really good at app development, because that's what I'm building. I'll be looking at people who are really good at AI and ML, because I'm building a machine learning oriented product, right? So that is the idea, that if you want to pick projects, अब इसकी बात करते हैं एक बार. अगर मैं बोलता हूँ कि मुझे वेब डेवलपमेंट आता है, इसका मतलब क्या है? कि क्या मैंने HTML CSS पे कुछ बना के छोड़ दिया, या मुझे फ्रेमवर्क अच्छे से आता है. आई पिक अ फ्रेमवर्क, लेट्स से रिएक्ट, एंड आई बिल्ड एन एप्लीकेशन आउट ऑफ इट, और उसके बाद मैं उसको डिप्लॉय कर रहा हूँ एंड आई एम आस्किंग पीपल टू यूज इट, गेट देयर फीडबैक, इटरेट ओवर इट. ओके, बिकॉज वेब डेवलपमेंट इज नॉट जस्ट अबाउट बिल्डिंग समथिंग, इट्स अबाउट कि वो चीज चले भी ऐसे कि वो स्केल हो पाए, स्केल ऐसे हो पाए कि जब मल्टीपल लोग यूज कर रहे हैं तब वो स्लो ना, वो फटे ना. दैट्स द आइडिया. सेम गोज विद ऐप डेवलपमेंट. ऐप डेवलपमेंट में क्या, ऐप बना के छोड़ दिया, क्या लोगों ने उसको यूज किया? राइट, यू आर इन कॉलेज राइट नाउ, यू हैव सो मेनी स्टूडेंट्स अराउंड यू. इसी ब्रिज पे 50 लोग बैठे हैं. मेक ग्रुप आउट ऑफ इट, बिल्ड एप्स, शेयर इन द ग्रुप, लेट पीपल ट्राई इट आउट, लेट पीपल शेयर फीडबैक. इफ यू ब्रिंग दिस टू द इंटरव्यू, राइट, आई विल बी आस्किंग यार ऐप में क्या बनाया, okay, you'll say XYZ. फिर उसके बाद आई बी आस्क फर्दर आस्किंग मोर क्वेश्चंस. यार ऐप का लोड क्या था, कैसे मैनेज करा, ये टेबल क्यों, वो डेटाबेस क्यों. अब इसके आंसर तब होंगे आपके पास, यू वुड हैव टेस्टेड इफ यू हैड कंपेयर्ड ऑल दीस थिंग्स. और कंपैरिजन तब करते हैं जब पता होता है कि शायद ये फटना जाए आगे जाकर जब उसको लॉन्च करें. So that's the overall idea when it comes to projects and how you should be creating projects and doing projects and interviewing for projects. Okay. Profile building, yes. See, आज के टाइम पे ना it's important that you are Googleable. If I Google search you, you're there, right? One of the interns at Amazon that worked with me was, उसका नाम मैंने वैसे Google किया before the interview, and her name was on every platform. Lead code पे she had solved 1,000 questions. Code forces, code chef, everywhere is public profile, right? So she was there everywhere. That gave me really good confidence about her. But that still, I'll be evaluating her, properly. But still, that gives me confidence कि मुझे किस तरह के सवाल पूछने हैं और क्या पूछ सकते हैं और कितना मजा आने वाला है इंटरव्यू में. So that's where I personally feel for every project that you do, maintain a GitHub repository, right? And LinkedIn, yes, keep it गुड. बहुत टाइम वेस्ट करने की जरूरत नहीं है क्योंकि फ्रेशर्स के टाइम पे इस लेवल पे कोई नहीं पूछता लिंक्डइन को. ओके. बट बिकॉज अभी जॉब मार्केट इज नॉट समथिंग दैट वाज बैक इन 2020 व्हेन एवरीवन वाज गेटिंग 2-3 ऑफर्स. सो मेंटेन अ डिसेंट लिंक्डइन प्रोफाइल, अटैच ऑल द सर्टिफिकेट्स दैट यू हैव, अटैच ऑल द let's say certifications हो गया. उसके अलावा ask your teachers to put in recommendations. There's an option for recommendation, right? So leverage that, attach your projects there also. So that is one way that you can build your profile. Should I go for competitive programming? I mean, why not? Is one of my answers. Because competitive programming is nothing, it's just, let's say, hard questions ka bhi hard. Simple as that, right? So do practice it. Competitive programming is not just preparing for interviews, it's like a sport. Mind that, it's like a sport. So that is the thing. If you are like really into, you really enjoy coding and stuff like that, definitely go for it. And Coding Ninja Studio is there, that has all the resources. The coding platform is beautiful. You can go practice there. And if you want to start this, I mean, start right away and stick to it. Develop a habit because it's a sport, right? It requires discipline, sincerity, and everything that comes with any sport. And internship guide. Okay. Again, as simple as that. For an internship, focus on DSA. That is very, very important. And during an internship, they mostly ask you a few questions of DSA and you should be in, right? And the projects kar rahe ho, just make sure that you actually have done the projects, right? Because they can ask you a few questions and they'll get to know. यार इसने किया नहीं किया या बेवकूफ बना रहा है. As simple as that. Okay. So skill set required depends on the internship because you'll be getting a job description. Look at the job description. See if they're asking for any specific skill, right? If I be putting out a job post, I'll be hiring people who are good at Flutter, for example, right? But if Amazon goes and put out a JD for Amazon intern, say SDE intern, they might not care about if you know any framework or not. All they be looking at would be DSA. That's all. Free versus paid internship. This is an interesting question. So if this particular question would have come to me 4 years back, I would have said, why free when paid internships are there, right? But this time around, things have changed a lot, right? So पहली चीज तो ये है कि do not associate your ego to the pay package that you get. That is very important to understand because your career is of at least 40 years, right? At least 30-40 years back in time, the retirement age used to be 50. Now it is 62. It will be going to 70 in the next 20 years. So that's how it is. If life expectancy is increasing, the retirement age is also increasing. Corresponding, your career length is also increasing. तो अगर पहले कुछ साल फ्री में काम करना पड़ भी गया, but that experience will be actually helping you throughout your career, right? So that way, I personally feel like if you feel the place is right, if you feel the project is right, if you feel the thing that you're going to work on is matching your skill set and your aspirations, go for free internships. क्या ही आ रहा है इसके अंदर, right? At the end, if you are there just to make money, internship के पैसे से वैसे भी कुछ नहीं होने वाला. So that's the idea. Make your choices. And then after joining networking PPO, I don't believe in networking for an intern as such. Okay. सीधी भाषा में बताऊं, किसी की चाटने की जरूरत नहीं है, जो काम करोगे सबको दिखता है. दैट इज वन ऑफ द बेस्ट थिंग्स अबाउट बिजनेस सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियर, दैट योर वर्क इज विजिबल टू एवरी सिंगल पर्सन ऑन द प्लान, राइट? Everyone uses GitHub or any other version control system in their companies, and anyone and everyone can see your work. At Amazon, the process for promotion or PPO was so transparent. I had a full checklist. If I would have demonstrated this skill, that skill, I'm done. I'm promoted. So that's how it happened also. So that's the idea. Networking is something which is not really required, but yes, because nowadays things have changed a bit, wherein there's scarcity of job, I'd say. So that way, just be active on LinkedIn, keep on exploring jobs. किसी को फालतू डीएम करने की जरूरत नहीं है, कुछ फालतू की पोस्ट डालने की जरूरत नहीं है लिंक्डइन पे, बिकॉज दैट विल जस्ट से लाइक यार अपना काम तो कर नहीं रहा बंदा है. सो दैट्स हाउ इट इज. Off campus placement. Okay. So again, there is no right or wrong or any framework for this which actually gets you a result. That is one very important point to understand. Okay. Build your resume, and there is a software called ATS which sort of automatically translates your resume, and then tells, it picks up the right keywords from that, right? So make sure that it is ATS friendly. And then for the interviews, I mean, just it's the same process that it is for on-campus interviews as well, right? So just be active on LinkedIn in terms of just browse as you get time, look for jobs, apply there. Firstly, your resume will be filtered out. After a resume is accepted, then you'll be getting a test link. Give the test, and then after the test is done, then the process is same. Coming on to referrals, at Amazon, referrals for interns made no sense. Why would I refer somebody? I'll refer somebody if I know them professionally or personally, and if I can vouch for their work. But how can I vouch for a person who has never worked, right? So referrals की possibility बहुत कम हो जाती है. Then, as they mentioned, participation in contest. This is a good one because right now for Manova, we are also looking to hire summer interns, and we are planning to do a hackathon for this. The reason being because I need to hire for a specific skill set, as I mentioned, right? I'm planning to hire in Flutterflow and people who are experienced in machine learning algorithms and stuff like that. So I'll be conducting a hackathon specific to that. So students will be participating there, will actually be getting an edge in applications because I would have seen their work, right? And then make sure that you're not, it's like as it was on that pie chart, right? How much time to be given to theory topics like DBMS, OOPS, OS. So just make sure that you are at least वो पढ़ रखा है अच्छे से, कुछ आइडिया है उसके बारे में. ये नहीं होना चाहिए कि लास्ट मिनट कुछ पूछा और एकदम ही कंफ्यूज, राइट? सो दैट्स हाउ इट इज. Resume building, as simple as that: highlight technical skills, showcase of projects and internships, highlight academic achievements, and then define your skill very well. That is very important. And normally what I've seen, everyone rates them out of 5. So just make sure that you don't rate yourself 5 on 5 in anything, because that's not possible at your level of experience. Then mention your GPA if it's a strong point. I personally feel you should mention your GPA every time, all the time. Reason being because your GPA, everyone knows in the tech world now, that is not that full indicator, a proper indicator, let's say, of your competency. Because what I personally feel, being a software engineer, you don't even need a degree for that. All you need is a few months. And if you just go and study DSA from a very good source, coding English is one of the best sources that I've started my career with. So just pick one source, stick to it, and you're done. You're a software engineer. So that's where I personally feel, just mention your GPA, because nobody's going to judge you for your GPA. That's one. And then, yes, I mean, I personally feel if it's going beyond one pager, then it's something like that. You have cracked something that nobody has. Because for an internship, nobody can actually fill 2 pages for that. So make sure you stick to just one page. Okay. So my interview experience, I mean, if I talk about my journey, right? I joined Thapar University as a civil engineer because my father uh, is running a business wherein he do corporate interiors. He builds airports, museums, opera houses, stuff like that. So I planned to join his business, and I picked civil for that. In the first round, I got civil engineering at Thabar. I was like, fine, done. But when I joined college, right, I wasn't very much comfortable with the civil course. So during spot round, I requested for a change. And after 2 weeks, I was sitting in electronics department. So that's how I started my journey at Thakur University, Patiala back in 2016. And I was interested in photography since then, since class 10th actually. And I used to do wildlife photography, travel, and nature photography, especially macro photography, clicking pictures of flowers and bugs and stuff like that. So then when I joined college, I started, shooting events wherein there are so many events going on, concerts, musical shows, and stuff like that. I used to go and click them. Then I started my own media company with a few bunch of friends, and we got specialized into covering concerts. So we used to cover concerts pan India. This was my life in Thapar from 2016 to 2019. That was like till sixth semester. In sixth semester, I actually decided, like, I'm in tech college, so why not give a shot to technology? And then I was looking for courses, and at that time, coding ninjas used to be offline. So I went to Delhi. I stayed in Delhi for 2 months during the summer internship after second year. So that summer period, and I did coding ninjas. I actually got very comfortable with DSA because it's problem solving, and I used to love problem solving. I had no idea before that what DSA is because electronics and computer के अंदर electronics ही पढ़ रहे होते हैं पहले 2 सालों में. So I had no idea about computer science. And then I set a goal for myself, which was Google Summer of Code in that same year. I had 3 months to participate into that. I participated and I got selected for Google Summer of Code. That was my internship for third year. And then after interning during normal college placements, I tried for Amazon and I got into Amazon. So that's how it was. And how coding does help me? Yes. So coding ninjas helped me in a big way. Reason being because this was one of the first places I, thought about starting to understand what coding is and get into the world of software. And it played very well because the best thing about coding ninjas is they are outcome driven. Now, this is one of the advices which I give to everyone while opting courses. If you go on the internet, right, if you search for coding courses, you'll get thousands of courses, right? There are different platforms, different क्या बोलते हैं वो फैंग वाले भैया and all those people, right? So everyone is making courses out there today. But what is the outcome? If 1,000 people enroll, what percentage of students actually, get good at coding? So that is one of the differences that I have seen at coding ninjas. Because the process that they follow, the template that they follow, it's about the process, right? At the end, they have teaching associates who are there to help you out. They have a beautiful platform. The questions that they've selected are very well curated. The practice videos, the hint videos that I've shot, it's very articulated, very well articulated. So these are one of the USPs, I'd say. Few of the USPs that coding ninjas has. USP is unique selling proposition, which is the market differentiator. So that's pretty much about it. So I think we can take questions now. Campus team.
Yes, Bhaskar, we have two questions for you in the chat. Meanwhile, you can drop the LinkedIn ID as well for the students so they can easily connect with you on LinkedIn.
Okay, just a second. Let me get that.
Just I'll take the questions. So one is question is about the LinkedIn and GitHub, how to use it. So simply if you can.
How to use LinkedIn? It depends. Like you want to use it for what? I mean, if you want to use LinkedIn for getting jobs, or if you want LinkedIn to connect to people, if you want join LinkedIn for mentors, it has n number of uses. So you really need to define like why do you want to use LinkedIn? Think of
Probably they've been asking for the building with the connections and getting more of the jobs presence. I hope so. Job.
okay. See, the process is very simple. On LinkedIn, there is a job section wherein people post jobs. You would have seen already, right? You go and apply for jobs. Simple. Because there is nobody sitting on LinkedIn browsing their feed looking for people who want job and they're sending them job requests that hey, we have an open job, you join this job. That's not going to happen. So just make sure that you're active on the job section wherein you can even put in alerts, right? That so that you get notifications whenever there is a relevant job profile listed for you. So that is the only way. And make sure that you have filled in all the sections. I mean, LinkedIn has this progress bar kind of a thing, which shows as to what section is incomplete. So just try to follow that. And I think that should be enough.
Cool. One question is very interesting. If I take it, I'll give you two. So, sir, can I become a software engineer without a college degree? Uh, if with good coding or DSA skills. If
Why
he
not?
has good coding skills and without degree, he can become a software engineer.
Definitely. Definitely. See, it depends what you want to do with after becoming a software engineer. If you want to take projects as a freelancer, nobody cares about a degree, right? And if you want to, let's say, join a company, if they see, every company has some sort of, a qualification check. Like if you have done this, or that, right? At times, what I have seen now, they'll say, "Do you have a degree or not?" If you don't have a degree, they'll say you should have this much years of experience. That's how it is. It gets a bit difficult to join as a fresher, but still, I mean, jobs are there which do not care about a degree at all, right? I'm an electronics engineer, worked at Amazon. Similarly, there are people who are civil engineers, worked at Amazon. I believe if you're on